human activity does cause climate change. So climate change refers to the increased long-term shifts of increased temperature and weather patterns. This can be caused by nature, but since the 1800s, human activity has been the main driver for climate change. Human activities that cause climate change are the burning of fossil fuels, the increased intensity of agricultural activity, and the land use changes in the world. So my main points were the burning of fossil fuels, the increased intensity of agricultural activities, and the land use like deforestation. So based on my research through the Earth Client Communications, Hamburg and the World Future Council, and Scott Newman in his cut on Earth only has 11 years left, I've come to the conclusion that human activity has caused climate change and the increase of its devastating effects. So climate change has risen since the increase of human activity like burning fossil fuels. And the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is IPCC, has found that the fossil fuels are the dominant cause of global warming. In 2018, 89% of global CO2 emissions from fossil fuels and industries has been the main cause. So coal is a common fossil fuels and it is the dirtiest of them all. It is responsible for 0.3 Celsius increase of the 0.1 Celsius increase in the global average temperature increase in the world. So this can be lowered by the use of public transportation of many people in the world, so the carbon levels aren't as high. So another fossil fuel is oil, which has the huge amount of carbon when it's burned. So it approximately accounts for 1/3 of the carbon emissions in the entire world. This can be decreased by the use of business and government of new technologies and regulations. Not only do burning fossil fuels increase the climate change, but agricultural activities increase the climate change as well. The increase in intensive agricultural activities is increasing the dangerous effects of climate change. Agriculture in general is the cause for the natural part of the climate change. So agriculture is directly responsible for 14% of natural causes of natural carbon increase. So organic farming can slow this down because there's so many standards that farmers have to complete that the machinery would be less used, and because it takes longer to get the product out and up to standards. So machine-intensive farming methods as well is increasing the carbon emissions. So this is the use of pesticides, fertilizers, and other chemicals that boost the yield of farming. And this is the use of farming for aiding planting, chemical applications, and picking. Machines used on the environment increase the dangers of climate change, but the destruction of the nature is one big cause of climate change in the world. So the land use changes cause climate change. Change in the forestry for farming and factories is the clearing of wildlife areas. So deforestation accounts for 18% of greenhouse gas emissions. And this can be changed by reforestation, which can help with the cooling of the world and the increase of O2 and the decrease of CO2 in our atmosphere. So the conversion of wildlife to human-specific land use, like factories, is the cause of climate change. And it's because these factories create so many gas emissions and greenhouse gases that it brings up the global temperature every single year. So factory farming produces 14.5% of total greenhouse gas emissions. In conclusion, climate change is the increase in temperature and the change in weather patterns from the destruction of the atmosphere. There are natural things that cause this, but the human activities are the main factor in the destruction of these 7 layers of the atmosphere. So the burning of fossil fuels, the increased intensive agricultural activity, and the land use like deforestation are the main causes of climate change. And according to the annual global carbon budget of the Earth, has of the Earth website, it has said that we have returned to the pandemic carbon levels, but we are growing more and more exponentially every single day of the carbon emissions that are returning to Earth. So our beautiful planet of Earth has about 11 years left before we can see unchangeable and unavoidable damage eye to eye every single day.